Hey, what's happening everybody? Welcome back to Anime Casuals. I am Lucky, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about a very special specimen of a man, and that is Jack motherfucking Hanma. So, real quick recap on who Jack Hanma is. He is from the manga and the anime Baki the Grappler, Baki, the whole Baki universe, Baki Do. He is Baki's half-brother. There's a big, long, convoluted backstory of how that happened. I'm not really here to talk about that. I'm actually here to answer a comment on my Taikyon video where Steve Russell asked me to go ahead and talk about Godo, or this biting art that Jack is famous for. Now, I'm not going to be really commenting too much about the most recent chapters because as of this video, we haven't really seen Jack do a whole lot. So just keep that in mind as we go through here, although there are going to be some comments made that may spoil this for you. I don't think they're really major spoilers, but they can be for a lot of people out there. So spoiler alert is put into full effect from here on out for just anything related to Jack Hanma. So the first fight that I want to talk about is Jack Hanma versus Alexander Gallon. This is in the Maximum Tournament arc, and this is when we first know Jack as Jack Hanma. Now, Alexander Gallon is freaking huge, and I wanted to use this fight to highlight a couple of things that I actually like about Jack Hanma's style. So the first thing that we see here is Alexander showing off a lot of really good moves. He's showing off some boxing. And then of course we see the first highlight of this fight, which is Jack put him into an armbar. And we'll actually get into this a little bit more in the rest of the video, but this is actually what I would like to see when he's using this biting martial art, is for him to hold somebody in place and then bite them instead of trying to do this frantic, I'm gonna bite you kind of style that he does. And I would have liked to see Jack maybe switch over to something like a triangle. That way, when he had a hold of Alexander like this, he could have stayed on. He could have used his legs clamped around Alexander to not only put him out, but also bite off his fingers and continue to do so, instead of getting flinged off like he weighed nothing. Now, a couple of things that I was thinking about when I was making this video was, how can Jack mimic other animals that use this? Because if you think about it, this is mostly some type of animal martial art. Just like we learn martial arts from other animals, why can't we learn a biting martial art from, you know, the experts, the animals in the wild? So maybe there's this big cat that goes after this caiman or alligator or maybe crocodile and just breaks its neck. That doesn't really seem like it's Jack's style. Jack is humongous. So then I was thinking maybe a tiger. Well, tigers have special footing that makes them stealthy. But then I actually got onto something with the bears, and you'll actually see how they use their claws to hold the other bear into place and to go ahead and keep biting. And this is actually where we get into a martial art called Kino Muay. Now, this is a Filipino martial art that I just kind of discovered. I don't know a whole lot about it, so if you guys happen to know anything about this, go ahead and leave a comment down below, because I would love to learn a little bit more about it. I learned a lot during that Taikyon video. Obviously, I'm no expert in any of this stuff that I'm talking about, but I think it's fun to always talk about these things and expand on them, especially when it has to do with anime. Anyway, the thing about Kino Muay that I thought was interesting is the fact that they tend to use, you know, typical grappling maneuvers, but they end up using biting to get into some of these maneuvers. So they'll do things like bite the ear, basically bite wherever they can, and they use the pain of that. There's actually this interesting thing in the manga where they say, hey, if you let a young kid end up punching you for 5 minutes, well, you're gonna wince, but you know, you're not gonna fall over or anything like that. But the minute they bite you, man, you're gonna be in a lot of pain. Kino Muay ends up using this to redirect you and distract you from the other things that are happening. And personally, I think this is a more realistic way of using biting. You know, I'd kind of have to test some of the ways that I'm seeing in this video, but since Jack's bite force has been proven to be able to break bones, to take off skin, I would say why not just use it for the kill strike, which is where we skip ahead into Baki-do. Well, in Baki-do, he actually ends up facing off against this guard dog, which is a Tibetan Mastiff. Anyway, in order to prove his worth, he ends up putting the Tibetan Mastiff in basically a rear naked choke and saying, hey, do you guys want me to bite him? Because I can kill him. And I think this would be a phenomenal way for Jack to use his biting from now on. Ultimately, I think that Jack's technique could use a lot of grappling to set it up. Just like when you think about a normal jiu-jitsu technique, one of the biggest things that changes between MMA and jiu-jitsu is the fact that you can strike in MMA. Whereas in jiu-jitsu, you're not threatened by strikes, so you can rest in certain places without worrying about getting hit. Whereas in MMA, as we see right here with Anderson Silva versus Dan Henderson, Anderson Silva is the guy on Dan Henderson's back that's hitting him right now. Well, he's hitting him right now in order to make an opening, which he ends up using to secure the rear naked choke. And I think that Jack could use a cycle like this as well. I mean, other than just his steroid cycle. The other thing that I was thinking about besides the animals from the animal kingdom was a martial art, and they do show this at some points in Baki, though not that much. I think it would actually benefit Jack a little bit, is the martial art Lithway. Lethway is a Burmese martial art that is a lot like Muay Thai. However, there are headbutts involved. Now, why do I think a headbutting martial art would complement Jack's biting? Well, it would get his head in close. Now, if you look at this video from Fight Tips with Shane Faison, where he has the King of Lethway, at least that is what he is called to my knowledge, Dave Leduc, you'll actually see him do this awesome combo, mixing elbows and everything. But one of the things that he puts in there is his head. But he uses strikes to get in close and also some grappling. I think that this would help out Jack immensely, getting his head in closer instead of just biting. Just trying to bite somebody is pretty easy to see coming. And if you're like Baki in the tournament arc, you're just gonna hit him whenever he shows his face like that. Whereas this martial art lets you get your head in close and get into good position to make sure the opponent can't get away from you. So from this position, you could see he could have so many options to bite his neck, bite his ear, bite anything like that. Either way, this video was a lot of fun. I really appreciate the request. Thank you once again to Steve Russell. What do you guys think about my suggestions? Do you think that there's a better way to involve biting? Do you guys know a little bit more about Kino Muay Thai than I do? I'm sure that probably there are loads of people that know more about that than I do. But let me know in the comments down below. As always, guys, don't forget you can check out All Things Casual at the link tree in the description box down below. Also, if you'd like to email us, you can email us at animecasuals with an S, real, R-E-A-L, @gmail.com. But as always, guys, don't forget to keep it casual.